He got out. Look at that stinking goat. If you happen to be in the market for a battery for your RV or your dump trailer or your tiny home or your trolling motor, Lion Energy has the Safari UT1300 on sale right now for the lowest price they've ever offered it. You have to use the affiliate link, which is in our description below, which knocks the additional 15% off. But again, if you happen to be looking for a good, long-lasting battery that actually has a limited lifetime warranty, I would strongly recommend you click the link in the description below. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and you can see how much earlier the sun hits the solar panels on the roof than it does on the ground mount. This is the main reason why we're moving them to the roof. Okay, I'm basically gonna prefab this solar panel rack, solar panel mounting system down here on the ground, since I now have another measurement to work from. I have the existing array to work from. I'm gonna fabricate everything on the ground. I'm gonna get it up there on the roof. And if all goes well, I can get the entire racking system built, again, based on the measurements that I have off the first one. And then just get the solar panels up there. So this, if all goes well, this should take me like 3 days instead of a week and a half like the first system did. I first pulled my measurements off of the ground mount rack to make sure my unistrut is all cut to the proper length. I can't get the big long unistrut like I was able to a few years ago because it sells out so fast. Like everything else right now, there's problems getting stuff. And so I found 10-foot lengths for sale, which means I'm gonna have to weld it together. I got a special cold galvanized paint that I'm gonna use to make sure nothing rusts while it's up there. But my goal for today is to get everything fabricated so I can then get it up on the roof and start installing it. There are weeks around here where it seems like monumental things have been accomplished. Then there are weeks where it feels like I'm simply treading water. Because of how I chose to build the solar panel racking system, there was a whole lot of fabrication that I had to do on the ground ahead of time. It wasn't like it was necessarily that complicated, it was just time consuming. A lot of standing on my feet, using the angle grinder, using the welder, and a bunch of painting with the cold galvanized spray paint, hoping to prevent any rust on these solar panel racks that I've worked so hard to build. I will say that since I had the first solar panel rack to pull measurements off of, it did go quite a bit faster. Okay, I made these aluminum, basically base plates for the solar system, but I'm not concerned about the galvanic corrosion between the dissimilar metals, so I switched over to cold rolled steel. The problem is cold rolled 3-inch steel is not going to bend in my sheet metal brake. You need my help for today or what?
Just thought you missed me.
I didn't. I always miss you.
You always miss me. I don't know what Gavin or whatever.
Gavin?
I don't know Gavin.
Galvanized?
Yeah.
It's called galvanized. That's all right. Just understand your pop's got it covered.
Good job, Pops. I'm out of here.
Have a good day, young lady.
You too.
I'm going to score it, bend it, put a couple spot welds, and I think I'm going to cut this center section out so I'll have 2 separate brackets. Because if I don't do something different, I'm going to be here for a month of Sundays. And I need to move forward. The weather's changing very fast, so I need to get this done. One of these days, I'm going to get that shop completely finished and cleaned up, and it will be a joy to work in that shop. But when the sun is out and the weather is halfway nice, I prefer to work outside. Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, so I'm going to make them like this, and then I'm going to paint them with that galvanized paint. I mentioned it on Instagram earlier this week, but the colors of the leaves on the maple trees around our place have never been so colorful. The reds and the purples can almost stop you in your tracks, but in the back of my head, I know this is all a direct result of the drought that we seem to be in. We have not gotten anywhere near enough rain, and all that we can really do at this point is hope for some significant snow over winter. We have paper wasps around us, and occasionally I will find a paper wasp nest in one of the trees. There's this idea that some of the old timers have kicked around that if and when you find a paper wasp nest, you should measure how high it is off the ground. If it's going to be a heavy snow year, that paper wasp nest will be high off the ground. Today, as I went for a rip on the side-by-side, I found a paper wasp nest that was the highest off the ground that I've ever seen. Whether or not this has any connection to how much snow we will get this winter, I will most certainly be keeping track. So I basically worked all day getting everything prepped so I could get up here and get the mounts installed the fastest way possible. So again, I'm using the existing solar panel array that I've already put up here on the roof to measure off of, so this should go really fast. So let's see how it goes. When I initially started on the first solar panel array, I definitely had some questions and some concerns. I most certainly didn't want to do anything to damage the new roof, but I also had some concerns about how it will handle the snow over the coming winter. Without question, the snow will accumulate behind the solar panels. This is not something I'm that concerned about. By installing the mid-span brace that I'm going to install on both the first and the second arrays, it will hang onto the solar panels in a way where any pressure that might be offered by the snow load will do nothing but sit there and slowly melt away from the ambient temperature and the temperature of the solar panels. From start to finish, that took about 40 minutes versus the 4 hours it took the first time. Tomorrow I'm going to get up here and put the second and the third brace, which again should take me very little time. And I'm hoping by tomorrow afternoon, I'm ready to set up panels. Okay, I'm gonna finish up the racking system, get the midpoint secured, get everything secured, again, because I can pull measurements off the initial solar panel array. This should go really fast. I'm gonna get everything secured. Then I'm gonna get the hinged individual racks. I'm gonna try and get everything installed today, so tomorrow, maybe I can start breaking down the next array. All of the MC4 connections on the solar panels are waterproof. Above and beyond that, I put the connections as high up on the arrays as I could, just for safety's sake. If we happen to have a heavy snow year, it shouldn't really make a difference. When I initially framed up the house, code required that I build the house to handle at least 90-pound snow load. Using the 2x12 roof rafters, we can handle probably north of 120-pound snow load. So for that reason, I do not have any plans to get up on the roof and shovel any snow off unless something extreme happens. But even still, it's not something I'm too worried about doing. I can say this for a fact. Over the last 6 years that we've owned our land, we've never had a consistent winter. We've had heavy snow with well over 100 inches of snow. Then we've had what we call average snowfall, which seems to be right around 100 inches.
We've had the snow melt off very fast in the spring, causing some flooding. And then we've also had the snow slowly melt off, which is best for everybody involved. But what I know for sure is we have no control over what Mother Nature's going to do. But I do feel confident that moving the solar panels up here on the roof, they will be fine. Our solar system will work much more effectively than it did last winter, and I'm hoping that the angle that I set the solar panels at and how close they are to the edge of the roof, that the snow will slip off without any help from me. I will have to adjust the position of the roof gutters so there is no conflict between the snow and the gutters when it slips off.
Okay, altogether that probably took me maybe an hour, hour and a half. Tomorrow I'm gonna put the brackets to prop up the panels. I'm gonna get everything stood up and basically ready so I don't have to fight it once the panels are in place. And maybe by Saturday I'll be putting the panels up there and getting this second one up and ready to go.
I've spent a fair amount of time behind the angle grinder, and every once in a while I get a friendly reminder of just how dangerous that particular tool can be. I do not run a guard on my angle grinder, and I run 6-inch blades, so one might say that's the price you pay. But I've learned to wear my gloves and keep my eye protection on, but more than anything I've learned to keep my face from out of the line of the blade when it's running. I've had those carbide blades come apart on me a few different times, and even with eye protection and gloves, it's still not fun. What I'm doing with this Unistrut is basically creating a place where I can bolt these braces to the Unistrut that's secured to the roof.
Golly.
There probably is some special bracket out there that connects these two pieces of Unistrut together, but I'm sure that bracket's not cheap. And on top of that, I don't even know what that bracket looks like. So as far as I'm concerned, Cutting and welding this piece of unistrut in a way where it will bolt together is fine. Naturally, I need to be careful when I'm welding galvanized. It helps to have a stiff breeze, and you learn to hold your breath a little bit. Once I've cut and welded these braces, I paint them with a very good quality, special cold galvanized paint. That should protect them from any rust down the road. Again, this is a bit of a science project, but I couldn't be happier with how things are turning out. As hard as it is for me to stand still and cut and weld all of the individual pieces that I'm using to build the solar panel rack, as I bolt it together, the end result couldn't be better. This mid-span brace that I installed is a huge factor. I can see that it's going to add the support that the solar panels will need if we do have that heavy snow. Once I get all of the solar panels relocated to the roof, the next big project that I have to get to as the weather changes is the new insulated chicken coop and goat pen. As the world seems to spiral out of control, the more that we can do to live as sustainably as we can and produce as much as we can around our place will be the focus for our future without question. We have 9 goats that I'm fairly confident are pregnant at the moment. That means come springtime, we could have another 9 goats or another 18 goats or who knows how many. And I need to have a safe, insulated place where the goats can have their babies without any issues.
All right, this next array is ready for solar panels. Before I put the solar panels up on this second array, I'm going to stiffen up the first array by putting that mid-span brace in there. This one went much faster. The last thing I have to do is build a small array right here, and then I'm done on the second story, and I'll finish moving the third and final array down here on the first story. And then I think I'm gonna build one more array, but I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get to that. I've got to get to, really the next major project is gonna be the barn for the chickens and the goats. And I've got to get on that. I can see that the weather is changing fast, and the second that ground freezes, I'm in a tight spot. So if I can get my posts in the ground before the ground freezes, I can continue to build that little barn for the goats and the chickens, regardless of what the weather does. But I'm very happy with how things turned out. It's not going anywhere. We've had a couple of significant storms since I put this first array up, and we've had some serious wind. And I'm confident that this is staying right where it was designed to stay. I don't think I'm gonna adjust this angle on the second story. What I put down here on the first story, I'm definitely gonna adjust as I need to in the winter time. But if I can make this system work at the wintertime angles, at the 50-degree wintertime angles, then there's really no reason to change it from that point.